On here, Bobby Kennedy's on the line, environmentalist, attorney, author. His latest book, Thimerosal, Let the Science Speak, and the website ringofireradio.com. Bobby, welcome back.
Thanks, Tom.
It's great to have you with us. I understand that there is now a guy who works for the Food and Drug Administration, which licenses and oversees the safety of vaccines in the United States, who has attempted to get whistleblower status around these issues that you've been writing about. And let's first just clear the deck by saying neither you nor I nor anybody in our families, to the best of my knowledge, is opposed to vaccination. In fact, all of our kids are vaccinated. We're vaccinated. What we're opposed to is
mercury.
Yeah, exactly. Mercury in the vaccine. So let me toss it to you, Bobby.
Tom, as you know, I've always been fiercely pro-vaccine. I had all 6 of my kids vaccinated. I believe that vaccines have saved the lives of hundreds of millions of human beings over the past century. I'm deeply frightened of infectious diseases and their impacts on human beings. I want to have maximum coverage for our vaccines, and that's why that's one of the reasons I feel so strongly about these issues, because I don't think people will vaccinate if they have doubts about the safety of vaccines, and as long as we in some of the vaccines, as we do in the flu vaccine, people are not going to trust what CDC says. Now, as you know, I did a meta-review of all the science out there on vaccines, which is called Thimerosal, Let the Science Speak, and there we found hundreds and hundreds of peer-reviewed publications by CDC, by FDA, by the leading university hospitals, published in the leading peer-reviewed publications, and virtually all of them, all of the scientific studies, without exception, say that thimerosal is a deadly brain poison, that it is more deadly than the methyl mercury in fish to brain tissue, and it's more persistent in the body, et cetera, and that it's almost certainly responsible for this epidemic of neurological problems that we're seeing in this generation of American children: ADD, ADHD, hyperactivity disorder, tics, misery index, speech delay, language delay, et cetera. So the CDC has leaned on 3 studies which it created hastily in the early part of the 2000s, and they're epidemiological studies which are easily manipulated, to exculpate thimerosal and to be able to claim that it's safe. One of the studies has already been disavowed by its author, Thomas Verstraeten, and these are the only studies on American populations ever. And the other 2 studies were written by a guy called Bill Thompson, who is a 16-year veteran at CDC's Immunology Safety Office. And he's still at CDC. He has now got an attorney, and he's with Rick Morgan of Morgan Verkamp in Cincinnati, which is a specialist on whistleblowers. And he has applied for whistleblower status, and he's asked to testify before Congress, because what he says is that on the 2 studies, the only 2 studies that indicate that thimerosal in particular populations didn't cause these kind of neurological injuries, that he cheated on those studies, that he was ordered by his superiors at CDC, including, and he names the names, Frank DeStefano, who is the head of the Vaccine Safety Division, and Maureen Doyle, who's the head of the branch, that he's been ordered for 10 years, he and his fellow scientists, to lie on the science. And Tom, I wish that you could, there's links actually in the article that we put up on Ring of Fire yesterday, that are video links of him speaking. And the stuff he's saying is really, it's an atomic bomb, because what it says is that this agency, which is the agency that we've all trusted to keep vaccines safe, has actually been lying about its science and deliberately deceiving the American public about its science. What he says is that one of the things he says on these tapes, and maybe I can come back at another time and we can actually play the tapes
sure.
on the air, is he says that his studies show that thimerosal certainly causes tics, which is a grave neurological injury. Tourette syndrome. It's a family of disease that includes Tourette syndrome. And that the data on that is so certain that he can say with certainty that it causes tics, which is one of the features of autism. And he says, therefore, and this is something I stayed away from in my book, but now he's saying it publicly, and he is the senior scientist at CDC. He's saying that there's this is a quote, plausibility to say that thimerosal causes autism-like features. He is the author of another publication in 2004, a third one, where he is the lead author of, where he says that he was forced to bury data that showed that these vaccines cause autism in African American boys. And again, it's an epidemiological study that looks at certain populations. That data came out that they couldn't bury it, and he was asked to essentially dispose of it. So the things he's saying are earth-shaking. He's given thousands of pages of damning documents to Congressman Bill Posey, who's on the Health Committee. And Posey is now working with Lamar Smith and trying to figure out the proper committee or somebody who will hold a hearing on this where he can subpoena Thompson.
That's remarkable. That's absolutely remarkable. We had last week. We did basically 3 hours, I think, on this topic, and there are actually on hold there right now. There's a couple of people who want to get on with you. We have hard breaks in our program. We're going to hit a break in about a minute and a half, but then we can continue to talk, and then we'll hit another break. But apparently, one of the scientists who is quoted by the anti-Thimerosal or even there is a kind of an anti-vaccine crowd out there, which you and I are not part of, has been pretty badly discredited. When we come back from the break, I'd like you to address that, and we'll pick up some phone calls. And in the meantime, I'm going to get this article over to Shano. Maybe we can pull some of these clips that we can use today. If not today, we can certainly do it next week. So hang on. We'll be right back. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is with us, ringofireradio.com, where you can read his new article. And his book, of course, Thimerosal, Let the Science Speak. We'll be right back.
You're listening to Thom Hartmann. Visit thomhartmann.com for audio and video archives.
Bobby's book, Thimerosal, Let the Science Speak. You can read about it at ringofireradio.com. We'll have a link at thomhartmann.com as well.